poverty reduction strategy that was brought in December of 2008, almost 2 years ago, has a very unfortunate title that is degrading to people in poverty. And we never called it for what it was. The social advocacy community didn't want to upset the government or the sweet minister at the time. But this is a very degrading concept that was called breaking the cycle. Breaking the cycle of disadvantage. And what it was saying is that what we have in poverty is a group of families who continue to reproduce themselves. They are what has been called the culture of poverty. They just continue to reproduce themselves. And we've got to break that cycle by helping the children escape. We can't, the next generation has to be able to escape from this perpetual cycle of intergenerational dependency. It all sounds so reasonable and coherent until we look for the evidence, and it is a word that I'm starting to introduce in my presentations. The word is canard, C-A-N-A-R-D, canard. A baseless story that obtains credibility by the through continual repetition. A canard. Because this report is released in December of 2008, saying we've got to break the cycle of poverty, this intergenerational thing. And the month before, the Ontario Association of Food Banks releases a report that says that Canada has one of the lowest levels of intergenerational family poverty in the industrialized world. This is a month before. About 20% compared to 50–60% of intergenerational poverty in the United Kingdom and the United States. This report was titled For the Wrong Country. The minister, Mr. Matthews, didn't know which country she was writing the report for. It's not Canada. And that is a degradation on people living. It says you were part of this hopelessly, and the language that is used, dependency, okay, passive, intergenerational cycle. That is degrading. How many of you would like to be talked about in degrading ways that don't correspond to your experience? Last year, the Conference Board of Canada issued its report saying that the OECD in Paris had released another report showing again the same thing, that Canada had one of the lowest levels of intergenerational poverty in families. And so this, if you establish, and what does the minister say? Revision of poverty, core principles. Kids first. That's the first principle in the Ontario strategy. That's an immoral statement to triage. Most religious traditions believe that every human life is sacred. Now, we don't stratify who is more sacred or not. Now, if you believe that parents are hopelessly embedded in this cycle of deviance and cycle of dependency, well, then you want to. There's a term this was called 100 years ago. It was called child saving. That was what was very popular, child saving. So this is what the minister leads with. It's a degrading contention, and it is an objective that relegates the life circumstances of every parent and adult as secondary, because of this implicit moral notion, the lost generation. The Hebrews who had to die in the desert because they weren't worthy to cross into the promised land.